don't see is go into all the world. Now, are those two things not compatible? Okay, she says you got to do one before the other. What do you mean? Okay, so now we're talking about the missional viewpoint again. I got to have a relationship with someone before they will do what I tell them. Am I saying it right?
And you have to meet physical needs.
Say again?
Physical needs have to be met first. Physical needs have to be met.
Why, Kathy? Why do you say that?
They're not going to care what you have to say.
Okay, so the old thing of they don't care what you know, so they know how much you care.
Right.
Okay. Randall?
I was just thinking the woman at the well, that was Jesus carrying out his mission, but he asked for water, and he developed a relationship with her first before he revealed himself as who he was.
Okay. So there's this conversation that he has with her. I know who you are. I need you to know who I am. Okay, Michael?
It goes back to, for those that maybe studied this at some point, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh, okay.
You know, where if my physical needs are not met, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm not clothed.
Next slide, guys.
You know, then I don't care what else is going on. I've got to take care of my basic needs. And then, do I have a place where I can be safe? Do I have money coming in? Is there a safety net? You know, level 2, those kinds of things. Until our basic needs are met, it's really hard to get to someone to think about their eternal salvation.
Okay, so what Michael's saying is that Maslow, who was a researcher in human condition, said that the base needs are shelter, food, sleep, safety, security, and you start going up from there. And once those things are met, then you can start being able to hear other things. It's a lot like kids that don't have a place to stay or can't eat and expecting them to learn at school. You know, good example of that. And so several of you guys are saying those needs, their physical needs are important in order for them to understand their spiritual needs are important. Okay, because they don't see the spiritual needs, they just see their physical needs in the moment. Okay, so Travis Irwin, this guy is a involvement coach at the Athens Church of Christ in Athens, Tennessee, wrote a book. What's the next slide, guys? Because I can't remember the name of the book. There it is. We Are God's Masterpiece. And he's taking that, interestingly enough, I was reading from Philippians this morning, or 1 Peter rather, as Ricardo was yelling. That right before he gets to all of that part, Peter says, you are God's masterpiece. You are God's workmanship. And his book, which is a good read if you ever want to grab onto this thing, is the fact that we are God's masterpiece. And so he didn't just save us from something, he saved us for something. And we start getting now into this idea of being missional. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to be Jesus. No offense to Jesus. I don't want to be Ricardo, okay? I don't think I could keep my voice if I was Ricardo, right? I'm not sure I want to be Dale a lot of times, okay? But you know what I'm saying? And so you've heard a lot about we are each different, but we're a body. You've heard a lot about that this morning. You're thinking of those scriptures from 1 Corinthians 12. You're thinking of those moments in your own mind about how we are all different parts. And if the whole body were an eye, right, John? Or if the whole body were an ear, or if the whole body were, you know, and we're thinking, okay, we all have these, he's in the room. Now I can really go after him. Next slide, guys. So here we are, Ephesians chapter 2. Exactly a little bit what we were talking about this morning. But you can't really talk about being a missional church without, one, knowing our mission. What is this mission? Okay, and we always go back to Matthew 28, okay, the Great Commission, because that's our norm. That's what we've been taught to think, and it's not a bad norm. Okay, it's a good norm. Crying out loud, I've dedicated my life to that, okay? So don't get me saying, you hear me not saying, no, that's bad, don't. But the mission, and I heard a couple of you guys talking about the mission in the church. What's the mission in the church? How is that different from outside of the church? If I was going to say, what's the mission of the church to each other? Edification and growing together. Somebody else? Preparation. Okay, you're going to have to give me more than that.
When someone comes to the Lord, they need to be mentored and taught.
Okay.
And
Next slide.
I remember a time, even in my own Christian walk, there was a time where I actually admitted to a friend of mine who was a deacon at the church we were going to. I said, he's like, you know what? I noticed you don't go to Bible class. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to learn anything.
Okay.
That's hubris, you know? But it also, he reminded me that just because you may not learn anything doesn't mean that what you have learned doesn't need to be heard. And so be a part. And God will open up what needs to be opened up. Let the Holy Spirit work properly.
Yeah, and let me respond to that for a second, Michael, too, because in Bible class, you'll notice that the crowd's thinned quite a bit. And so we're in Bible class, but if this is the only place where you're getting the mentorship, we're woeful, right? And so we're falling off. If once a week, or maybe Wednesday evening, that's when you get your mentorship twice a week, you're battling 2 hours versus 166 when you're not here.